Something dark is brewing in the halls of Washington, and no one in power, not the networks, not the generals, not even the president himself, is willing to speak the truth. Because this time, it's not just about oil, not just about power, it's about survival. Tulsi Gabbard stands alone. She is not owned by the billionaires. She's not kneeling to any lobby or paying homage to donors who cut 7- and 8-figure checks. And in today's Washington, that makes her a threat. Let's be frank. Donald Trump wouldn't have made it to the White House without the immense backing of wealthy, politically aggressive donors, many of whom share deep ties with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. These are men like Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, whose money came with strings. And those strings led directly to Iran. Because the deal was simple. If Trump wanted their cash and their media muscle, he had to promise one thing: war with Iran, the destruction of the Islamic Republic, and he agreed. And make no mistake, those pushing this agenda don't just want Israel's hegemony in the Middle East. That's just a stepping stone. They want global financial dominance. And the United States military is just one of many tools in their geopolitical toolbox. But Tulsi Gabbard is not part of this machine. She's intelligent, she's articulate, she's dangerous, for the very reason that she speaks the truth. And truth in this era is a threat to power. Inside the Pentagon, the echo chamber is deafening. Trump's military advisors keep feeding him the same fantasy, that Iran can be dominated by air and sea, that American missiles can crush the Revolutionary Guard, that Tehran will come crawling, begging for peace like Tokyo on the deck of the USS Missouri. But it's a delusion. Missile defense expert Ted Postel has already exposed the myth. The Iron Dome system, Israel's vaunted shield, is riddled with flaws. It's like a sieve. Iranian missiles can and will get through. The so-called bunker buster bomb, the GBU-57, won't penetrate Iran's deeply fortified nuclear facilities like Fordo. And yet, Trump has been told otherwise. He's been fed a fantasy by the very same experts who said Russia would collapse in Ukraine, the same voices who promised easy victories and delivered bloody quagmires. Why do they lie? Simple. Because war pays. It paid in Ukraine, it paid in Iraq, and it will pay in Iran. All you have to do is look at the bank accounts of the retired generals, the defense contractors, and the members of Congress whose portfolios mysteriously surge every time a missile flies. And legacy media? They're complicit. They peddle the lies because war keeps the clicks coming. Ratings rise with every explosion, but their influence is waning. Boomers may still trust CNN or Fox, but younger generations are waking up. They're asking the questions the establishment wants buried. What happens if Israel starts to lose? Because this is not a war against a ragtag militia. Iran is a state actor, and it's not alone. Russia and China are already quietly involved, arming, advising, and preparing. And then there's the Muslim world. From Morocco to Indonesia, the tide is turning. Even Erdogan, opportunist-in-chief, is waiting in the wings. He may posture, play nice with Tel Aviv, supply a little oil, but when the moment comes, he could very well march into Jerusalem and crown himself the savior of Islam. Egypt is already mobilizing. Their forces sit closer to Israel than at any point in modern history. And should they move, Russia and China have made it crystal clear. They will not allow Egypt to fall. That's the nightmare scenario. That's what the Pentagon refuses to contemplate. Because if Israel begins to collapse, they may do the unthinkable. Use a nuclear weapon. Netanyahu and his inner circle are desperate. If Israel starts to fall, the temptation to reach for the nuclear option, to force American intervention, to bully the world, will be overwhelming. And what happens then? Because the moment Israel detonates a nuke, retaliation is inevitable. Iran's allies will not stand by. And we, the United States, will be dragged into a nuclear exchange. That's not speculation, that's arithmetic. That's geopolitical physics. But it's not just missiles we should fear. It's collapse, financial collapse, emotional collapse, the kind of psychological trauma the American people have not seen in generations. What happens when our aircraft carriers start going down in flames? What happens when our bases in Iraq and Syria get obliterated? When American soldiers come home in body bags and the TV screens can't hide it anymore? You think the public will rally? Think again. History tells us otherwise. When over 240 Marines were killed in Beirut, Ronald Reagan didn't double down. He didn't unleash hell. He got out. Because he knew staying would only serve the interests of those who lured us in. And he admitted it. Secretary of Defense Cap Weinberger, who had warned Reagan not to deploy, was right. Reagan had been manipulated. And when the price was paid in blood, he changed course. That kind of leadership is gone. Trump is not Reagan. He doesn't back down. He doubles down. He did it with tariffs. He did it with NATO. And now, tragically, he's doing it with Iran. But there's still a way out. A 5-point plan was proposed, shared on Zero Hedge, discussed by military strategists, ignored by Washington. Step 1. Call for an emergency UN Security Council meeting and demand a ceasefire. Denounce the destruction of both Iran and Israel. Step 2. Insist Israel withdraw from Gaza and stop its war on Palestinians. Because Gaza is the powder keg. As long as Israel continues its campaign, the Muslim world will unite. Step 3. Suspend all military aid to Israel until it complies. That's leverage. Use it. Step 4. Deploy a neutral peacekeeping force from non-aligned nations. Not the U.S., not NATO. Bring in countries without a stake in the fight. And finally, Step 5. Convene a great power conference. Russia, China, India, Brazil, America. Not to impose, but to negotiate. Because we can't dictate terms anymore. The age of American hegemony is over. The world has changed. And if Trump doesn't realize that, he will plunge us into a catastrophe of our own making. Right now, reports say Chinese cargo planes are landing in Tehran. No one knows what's inside, but we can guess. And if Iran strikes back, the retaliation won't be limited to one country. And when American bases fall, when ships burn in the Persian Gulf, what will happen to our markets, our confidence, our belief that America always wins? We didn't win in Vietnam. We didn't win in Afghanistan. And we sure as hell aren't going to win in a full-scale war against Iran, China, and Russia. This isn't Call of Duty. This is reality. And reality doesn't care about your ego. If Israel uses a nuclear weapon, they may think it will save them. It won't. It will guarantee their destruction, and ours. And if we continue down this path, if we let arrogance, greed, and blind loyalty drag us into a regional war that turns global, we will lose far more than lives. We will lose the future. Support the channel, like, subscribe, and leave a comment to join the conversation. Your perspective shapes the future. Stay informed, stay engaged,